Good evening. Hi. So today we're going to be doing peanut butter cookie dough protein ball bites. That's a long title. Yeah, they're my favorite protein balls. I'm gonna make just a single batch. Normally when I make them, I think you could tell I like to do a lot. So I usually do like 4 to 6 times the batch, and then I freeze them, and then they're just so good when they're frozen. You just have to let them sit out for like a minute and then they're good to eat. I don't have enough coconut oil. So this is why we're only doing a singular batch. And I could just drive to the grocery store, but it seems like a lot of work right now. So we're just gonna make them instead and then have to make them all over again. You know, it's just easier when you make a bunch at once instead of having to repeat the process again later, in my opinion. Every time I eat dinner, do you ever need a sweet treat after? I do. So this is my new thought, is I'm gonna have an electrolyte drink, and maybe that will curb my sweet treat problem, because all I wanna do is go get ice cream all the time. Blizzards, or just go to the local place and get some mint chip ice cream. Or I just learned about from somebody, it's a Cold Stone where they mix your ice cream. Oh my God, I'm gonna tell you what I got. It was so good. Nobody cares what I'm telling you. So the Cold Stone, they have the little Cold Stone, and then they scraped it down and you pick your ice cream flavor. So my friend said, because I was like, oh, there's no cookie dough chunks to put in. That's sad. She said, why don't you do the cookie dough ice cream? So I did the cookie dough ice cream, and then you gotta pick 3 toppings. So I did Oreos, Smarties, and does not compute. What was the last one? Score. Oh yeah, baby. And then you gotta choose a sauce. They had like pistachio, chocolate, caramel, peanut butter, Nutella. So I chose chocolate because I was scared of this whole process to begin with. And then they mix it all up. And then after that, they put it in the cup, and then they put your chocolate sauce on again. And I was like, this is a lot going on. I love sweet, but that's gonna be too much. So I was like saying to my friend, I'm like, oh my God, make it stop. That's so much sauce. Oh my God, it's too much. It was perfect. I'm hooked. And blizzards are my favorite thing ever. And I don't think you could get better than a blizzard, but I might go as far to say this is better than a blizzard. And I had it last night for the first time ever. And it's taking everything in me not to go back tonight. My teeth and my face, they don't want it, but my body does. So this is where my electrolytes come into place. Tastes just as good as ice cream. Okay, anyway, let's get back to business and start these little protein balls. First things first, you're gonna want 1.5 cups of rolled oats. So I use large flaked oats. Here they are, large flaked oats. Not very many in there. And then I put them in the blender, and then you make it into like a flour. If you don't have oat flour, is that what it would be called? Yeah, oat flour, we'll go with that. And I learned a while ago, because I always thought it would be better to do a food processor. And I thought that would mix it better. So I used to make my own butter, like sun butter, almond butter. I used to do my own all the time, and that would make awesome butter. But what I learned, and I think I agree, is that these Vitamixes or blenders are better at making flours than a food processor, which very much surprised me. This recipe also calls for almond flour or almond meal, or you could just sub it for more oat flour. But I like doing the almonds because, you know, protein, fats, whatevs. I didn't have any, so I just took whole almonds and I did them in the food processor. So there's our flour too. Double whammy flours. I'll push down. All right, so this is 1.5 cups of rolled oats. Oh, hello. Going into 1/2 cup of almond flour. And I think before in the past, I was so lazy because I hate cleaning blenders and food processors. I'm like, I'm just gonna do the almonds whole. Yeah, not almonds. Oh my gosh, Katie, the oats whole. Don't do that. It's just not the same. Just don't be lazy like me. I am the laziest, not lazy person I know, if it makes sense. Like, I'll go to the gym. I'll go for an hour-long walk, but you asked me to walk up a set of stairs to go get something? I'm out. And now we're gonna need 2 tablespoons of coconut oil, which there's barely any in here. So this is just irresistible virgin coconut oil. And I don't know if you need to know about the almonds. The almonds were just, I don't know, they're just almonds. They're just raw, not roasted or anything. Roasted? Toasted? Almonds. They're just, yeah, normie. And this is our virgin coconut oil. And we're gonna pretend I use the measuring spoons for that, but I didn't. Coconut oil is so messy. And now we need 2 tablespoons of almond butter or sun butter or peanut butter. And I'm gonna go with the peanut butter. Shocked? I think not. I love peanut butter flavor. So there's this bowl situation. This has nothing to do with what we're doing right now. No, that's the ice that's loose. I just got so excited. This bowl, can you even see it? It's stuck inside this bowl. It's a smaller bowl. So I was reading on AI. Oh, I totally thought we had it. About how to get them loose. And it was saying like, get the middle one frozen. So hence the ice. I put it in the freezer and then do hot water on the other one. So I thought it finally came loose. But this is an ongoing problem. And I think I'm just gonna end up breaking this bowl at this point just to feel satisfied. There's gotta be a way. Who knows the way? Who has the tips and tricks to get this bowl out of the bowl? It's making me cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Oh my God, it happened! Woo! I think this has been going on for days. Satisfactory, complete. Sometimes you just can't be afraid to smash things a little bit harder. That's the lesson I'm learning. Wow, this day was so worth it. Wasn't a great day? Now it's an amazing day all of a sudden. Okay, we're gonna focus on what we're doing. First of all, we talked about ice cream for too long, and now we're talking about other things that have nothing to do with anything. Okay, so now we need 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. I'm not good at recipes, so when I do recipes, I always do everything in the same bowl. And usually like the wet's done together and you mix it and the dry is done together. So that is also for this recipe because some people probably want to do it the right way. And I've always done this. It's just a thing. Okay, so for the peanut butter, I'm using just peanuts. This is the little Bear Guys Craft. And that was a crunchy one, but there's like no crunchy bits left. Oh, there's the lid. All the way in Timbuktu. And then I ran out, so now we're just using an organic peanut butter. It's not like the sweetened one. I always just use the peanut butter. You know what I mean? All peanuts. Okay, now we need a 4th cup of maple syrup. And I am a big, huge fan of honey. So anytime I can, I'll try to do... Oh my God, heavens help me. Okay, we can do this. We don't need boys to open containers for us. Just kidding. I do. But there's none here right now. Bruh. Okay, you just need a glove, apparently. Boys schmoys. Like I was saying, you can use any sweetener. You can use whatever you prefer. And my biggest preference is always honey. So I will do honey when I can. Listen to this, Linda. I need a 4th cup. There it is. LOLs. So you need a 4th cup of whatever sweetener you're going with. And the honey is pretty solid, dude. So I'm going to end up having to melt this, I think. I wish you could put metal in the microwave so I could just melt it in its little cup. I know you can't though. Don't worry guys, I'm not going for it as much as I want to. I don't know, can you guys tell the difference? This is just a wildflower honey. It's from our winners. I swear I can tell a difference sometimes, like when I'm baking stuff or cooking stuff. Not cooking, probably baking. Between maple syrup and honey, because I really dislike maple syrup. And my sister makes her own maple syrup. She's crafty and fun like that, but I just really dislike maple syrup. So I can tell the flavor difference. Because I didn't separate it, I'm gonna melt the honey. Your honey might already be like liquidy, so you don't have to melt it. This honey is not liquidy enough for me. And if I separated it properly, like with the dry and the wet, then maybe I wouldn't have to melt it, but I think it's gonna be kind of tough to do this way. Next up, 1 teaspoon of vanilla. So you're just gonna do a teaspoon of vanilla, and this is artificial, unfortunately. And then you want a 4th teaspoon of salt. She gone and got liquidy. Holy bananar! Would you look at that boil? It's gonna melt my chips when I add them. Why do I feel like I'm missing so many ingredients? I don't think I am. It just feels like it right now. And that'll probably melt the coconut oil too. Perfect. There's just not that many ingredients in this recipe, so I feel like that's why it feels kind of cray-cray. So I'm actually going to use a measuring spoon because this is a 4th teaspoon of salt de mer. This is a different one than I usually use. Iodized table salt for cooking and baking, if we cared. And that's it. Like super duper simple. And what I do when I'm making this for myself and nobody else is eating it, because sometimes people don't love it, is I will add protein powder to it. I don't know, sometimes I think people can tell a difference. No, they definitely can. But I love the flavor of my protein powder. Actually, you're right. I'm gonna do it. You don't have to, but I'm gonna. I don't know who's right because I'm not talking to anybody real. I'm not talking to anybody imaginary either. Just like myself, I guess. I'm pretty real. Okay, so if you are adding more dry stuff, you are going to need to add more liquid. So this is my favorite protein powder. I think I talked about it once before for my breakfast because I eat this every single day for lunch is my oats. This is a whey protein isolate and the flavor is chocolate milkshake. Like, can you get better? No. You could do a whole scoop. I'll do less just because I know other people are going to be eating this and I think people just like it plain rather than with protein powder. I'm obsessed with my protein powder, so I love it with the protein powder in. It definitely gives it a different texture, like it'll be way stickier than if you don't use protein powder. And because we added more powder, we're gonna have to add some liquids, so I'm gonna do some silk almond milk. So again, both of these steps are not part of the original recipe, but do whatever you think you would like more, or if you wanna get that extra protein in there, this is just a way to do it. And then we're gonna mix it. This is it, except for some chocolate chips. And I love the minis for this recipe because I do put them in the freezer. As I've talked about too much lately, my teeth are just cray and delicate. So I like to go with something that's gonna be easier on them if I am eating something frozen, like a frozen chocolate chip. And I think I did too much milk. Now you need 2 tablespoons of mini chips. You can do dark, you could do semi-sweet, you could do whatever you have. So we got our chocolate chips. Stir that in a bit more. When you don't add the 2 extra things, it's just, like I said, a different texture, not as liquidy because I added too much liquid. But I could go back and blend some more almonds. So either adjust your recipe, add more dry, add more wet, or go slower with your wet ingredients. Because I added too much milk too fast, just throwing a bit more almond flour in there. I mean, if you're doing the original recipe, you won't have to do any of this. But if you do find it too dry, you can add a splash of milk, or if you want, you can just do water. Okay, that's better. Now you're gonna want a little pan, or a big pan, depending how many you did. So I'm just gonna use our toaster oven pan because it is smaller. And some parchment paper. And you can use a scoop if you want, like a cookie scoop, or you can just make your balls. Eyeball the balls. That sounds weird too. Okay. And this recipe should make 14, but I do make them a bit bigger and you don't need to watch me roll balls. So I will put this on a pause and BRB. So this one, it actually made 16, surprisingly. They're not the most beautiful looking rounded balls just because they do get a different texture with the powder. And I love it with the protein powder. I prefer to eat these with protein powder for show myself because I love the flavor of mine. So all you're gonna do is put them in the freezer. And then once they're frozen, you just put them in a container and either keep them in the freezer or the fridge. This makes me feel a bit better too, because you know when you're, like I've already talked about, you need a sweet treat after dinner, it makes me feel a little less bad eating this over ice cream. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a nice day, night, weekend, weekday, work day.